Hola, hola! My name is Julian Cruz Diaz, and welcome to Una Preguntita. As a Texas Rican, my life has been anything but traditional. I went from studying engineering to farming in Hawaii to building a career in nonprofits before diving into entrepreneurship. Every twist and turn taught me something new. But let's be real, life doesn't come with a manual. In Una Preguntita, we always begin con una pregunta, a question. So dime, have you ever felt like you're thriving in one area of your life while Googling how to be a functioning adult for the rest of it at 2 a.m.? Yeah, been there too. Every week, you and I are diving into the stuff nobody really teaches us. How to actually understand ourselves, build connections that matter, and handle those awkward conversations that keep us up at night. Whether you're figuring out workplace dynamics or trying to level up your emotional intelligence game, we're getting into it. I'm bringing you big questions, tools, and strategies for you to build the life and career you want. No filtered perfection, just honest conversations and practical ways to grow into your unapologetic self. Grab tu cafecito, get comfy, and let's figure this out together. Esto es Una Preguntita, where curiosity and understanding leads to action. Vamos! Welcome to my first podcast, amiguis. I am so excited you're here. I cannot wait to dive into today's topic with you. So, drum roll please. Today's preguntita and topic is how can we avoid the unintentional detour in our personal and professional conversations? Now, we have all been there. You're asking your mom or your cousin for advice, and then all of a sudden you end up on this long tangent 30 minutes in, and it has nothing to do with what you even asked for in the beginning. It's frustrating, right? You just wanted a clear, concise answer, and all of a sudden you get a lecture on something that's totally out of what you were actually wanting, right? Has this also kind of happened to you at work in a different way? You're asking your team member an update on a project, right? And instead of a simple, it'll be ready by Tuesday, or we're here and here and here, you end up getting unrelated details or random tangents and assumptions that you already know certain things when you really don't. So my question is, how can we avoid these unintentional detours in our personal and professional conversations? Well, I have an answer for you. In my past, I was an engineer. So I love equations because I feel like they just make life a little simpler. So I created the equation clear communication equals what plus y. So I'm going to repeat that again. What plus y equals clear communication. Now, okay, what exactly does what mean and what exactly does y mean? So what is the topic you're asking or feedback you're asking, and you include any background information. Why is exactly that. Why are you asking this? What is the reason for the answer, right? Pretend like you're at work and you want to wrap up a planning that you're doing before the end of the day, and you need your coworker to give you an update on a graphic that they're designing, right? If you didn't know the equation what plus y, you might end up asking like, hey, so how is the graphic going? How's it coming along? Question for you though, was this clear? No. Have you probably asked a question like this before? Probably. Has it been the clear, quick response you actually wanted? Absolutely not. In this situation, if really what you wanted was to put a deadline or a number to the graphic, right, you might want to ask, hey, I'm finalizing the due dates for XYZ program that's coming up. By when will the graphic be ready so I can post it on socials? The answer you're going to get for this question is very different than the question that you posed, how's the graphic coming along, right? You added in what plus y into your question, into your equation per se, and you ended up with a much more clear answer than the unintentional conversation detours you might have gotten with the first question, right? it just really takes a second or two longer for you to really consider what is the what and what is the why and how do I put it together, right? Okay, so that was an example for if you're asking for something. But what if you're giving feedback or you're telling somebody something? Well, you can still use this equation, what plus why. Pretend your boyfriend is doing laundry and putting everything into the dryer. Yes, even your favorite silk dress. Ugh, my nightmare right now. Instead of saying something like, "What are you doing?" Remember the equation, what plus why. You would say, "Hey, hon, my favorite silk dress is in there. If you put it in the dryer, it shrinks and can tear. Can you hang it up to dry instead?" You're going to get a very different response if you use the what plus why, told them what was in there and why they need to hang it up instead, versus like, "What are you doing?" Right? Miscommunication often happens when people skip the what or fail to provide a clear why. Think back when there was miscommunication between you and a loved one, right? Or you and a coworker. This happens much more often than we like to admit. So I'm going to break it down a little bit more, and we're going to go step by step in order to make sure that you know how exactly to use this moving forward, okay? What you do first is you start with a what. You are clear about what you're saying or what you're asking, and cut the fluff. No, your uncle, if you're asking for advice on a credit card, your uncle does not need to know about this one time when you're 14 and spent $17 on a pair of socks. No, cut the fluff. Get right down to the nitty gritty, exactly what you're asking and what you're saying. Step 2, add in the why. Context matters, mi gente. If we don't give context, that's how we end up on these detour conversations that we really did not want to go down, right? When you give context, when you give background, when you give a why you're asking this or why you're telling them this, it gives them almost like a lane to stay within, right? You're being much more clear about what exactly you're bringing up. Step number 3, pause and consider. I think this is the step we sometimes, me personally, forget to include. Am I going to get a direct answer from this? That's a question you might want to ask yourself. Or do I actually know what I'm truly asking about here? Or am I just starting to blabber and not really get what I want? Really consider, do I know what I'm asking? And am I being clear in what I'm asking? So, why is clear communication important? In order to improve not only yourself, amiguis, but your life, communicating is a big part of it. And how we move through the world determines a lot of times how we've been communicating. It helps to build relationships, it helps to build trust, and we create stronger connections, whether that's creative connections or interpersonal communications. The other day, I was scrolling through social media, as we do, and I ended up landing on a video by Vin Gang, and he was talking about communication. So, of course, I stopped and listened because I'm all things communication. And he mentioned something that really stood out to me. He mentioned, it doesn't matter how brilliant you are in your head. If your communication level is at a 3, 3 is how the world will perceive you. Let that sink in, my friend. It doesn't matter how brilliant you are in your head. If your communication level is at a 3, 3 is how the world will perceive you. So it doesn't matter how internally brilliant you are if you're not able to get your thoughts across, if you're not able to ask questions, if you're not able to take that brilliance and put it out into the world, que vale, right? Like, what does it matter? You, amiguis, are a high achiever and you want to move forward in life. That means personally, that means professionally. We cannot keep you at a 3. So take away the importance of communication. What was the equation we used? Clear communication equals what plus why. All right, So I want to move you forward from level 3. And I love to give freebies away. So if you are struggling to have difficult conversations, I have a solution for you. I created the conversation cheat sheet, handling difficult conversations with confidence. It includes 5 secrets to making difficult conversations flow much easier in order for you to move forward and grow. So in case you want that freebie, I put a link in the show notes below. So feel free to scroll down and to find them. So I want to recap. What did we chat about today? Miscommunication happens when we overcomplicate or fail to be clear about what we're asking or what we're talking about. So that's when we add in the clear communication equation. What plus why? We have said it a billion times today, so I hope it loads into your brain. Clear communication equals what plus why. You state your message clearly and you explain why it matters. Great communication builds trust, avoids confusion, and creates connections, personally and professionally, if we're being honest. What I want you to take away from today is next time you're going to ask something, next time you're going to give feedback, take a second, go through those 3 steps. What are you asking? Why are you asking? And pause. Is what I'm asking actually what I want to portray? Is it actually getting me closer to my end goal? 3 steps. What? Why? Pause and consider. When you do this, you start to build from level 3 to level 4 to level 5, and you end up becoming a much stronger communicator. As we move forward in our next couple podcasts, we're going to be diving into a little bit more of relationship building and trust building and other topics that root from communication. So I hope you take away what plus why equals clear communication.
Zulian. ¿Qué aprendiste esta semana?
So what did you learn today?
So in this section, we talk about what I learned this week. And I was so excited to be able to get the voices of all my family. I treasure my family, and so I wanted to see how I could actually integrate them into my work. So here they were introducing me in all of their animated voices. So to answer my mom and my uncle's question of ¿Qué aprendí? What did I learn this week? I learned that sleep is crucial. Recently, my whole family got together. We had family come in from Puerto Rico, from Florida, from Hawaii, pretty much all over the nation. And we had a blast. But what happened to my sleep? It was non-existent. I had a blast reconnecting con los primos, pero man, did I pay for it when I got home. I found myself sick in bed and like a zombie, literally from Thursday morning at 9:30 all the way until Sunday. These last few years, I had been working really hard on actually setting myself up really well to get better sleep. First, I started realizing that I was losing about 45 minutes of sleep because I was just doom scrolling in bed before putting my phone down to sleep. And I was like, okay, what do I need to do? What habit do I need to create? So I realized, okay, let's not have my phone charging and next to my bed at night. So I'm going to charge it in the kitchen instead. But then I realized, well, how am I going to wake up? I quickly realized that I do not like getting right out of bed to turn off an alarm in the kitchen. So I ended up getting an alarm clock thanks to some of my old rowing friends. Shout out to my Woke Crew mamas. I learned about something called the sunrise alarm. I did research on it and turns out it was a really great investment in both my sleep and my well-being. Instead of waking you up like a normal alarm with a noise, what it does is it gradually lights up your room a few minutes before your alarm goes off. And then whenever you're going to wake up, let's pretend it's 7 a.m., then you could set the tones to birds chirping or like a normal alarm sound or whatever works for you. I've linked the clock in the show notes below in case you're interested in getting better sleep and starting with an alarm clock. Long story short, what I learned from this week is the power of sleep. I relearned it and I don't think I will forget it anytime soon. That sickness was awful. If you enjoy this podcast just as much as I enjoyed creating it for you, please share it, rate it, and write a review. What did you take away from today? I'm sending you un huge abrazo y nos vemos en la próxima.